Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome to the ISLAM 2022 Winter Draft. Our panel today is Hanan Ghafoor, Imad
Alaikum.
Hussein,
Salam.
and the one and only Uncle Baksh. Our panel today. Before we begin the draft, we'll do a pre-draft show. We'll field any questions. We'll let the audience filter in. Imad, do you want to kind of start us off in terms of the overall situation in terms of COVID, running the league, and then we could transition to actually talking about the upcoming festivities with regards to the players in the draft.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Mubin, and Assalamualaikum, Hanan and Baksh. Nice to be here with everyone. Just a quick overview. A lot of people probably wondering, what the situation was with the league, with what's going on with closures and things like that. Up until right now, we don't have any indication in terms of a closure. Very well might be, there's reports coming in that Doug Ford's having cabinet meetings in and out, and not just with his kitchen cabinet. So we're just operating under the assumption that we're ready to start early or next week on Friday. But of course, we will follow the guidelines put forward by the government, and of course the safety of all of our brothers and their families is in our minds as well. So we just want to get prepped for the season, and of course, whatever happens, and we will communicate that accordingly with everyone.
Hey, well said. Thank you. It's definitely trying times, uncertain times, but we are managing to the best of our ability, and we do have the players' utmost. At the end of the day, we know you have to go back to your families, and there's always the responsibility of making sure that you're well protected, and as well as the Muslim community in general is well protected. So I'm gonna send it over to Baksh. Uncle Bucks, as he's well known throughout the league, and just kind of explain to the new players who haven't tuned into a draft show before, how things would unfold in the next couple of hours.
So thanks, Mobeen. So for those of you who aren't aware of how we run our drafts, there's a separate GM kind of area where all the GMs are actually making their picks, and we'll be getting those picks in live as they come in, and we'll be commenting on those picks and rounds as they come in. So basically, you'll see it as soon as we see it. So that's how we're going to go round by round, player by player, and we usually like to try and talk about the players we know. There's a lot of new guys here that we don't know, and that's actually really great to see. And welcome to all the new brothers that are joining. So hopefully get to know all of us. We're all a pretty friendly bunch here. So hopefully we'll all get to know each other really soon. And if we don't know you guys, please feel free to reach out to us. And I'm sure a lot of brothers here know certain people, so we'll get to know each other. And Hanan, do you have anything else to add? I don't know. We're just going round by round.
No, honestly, it's a fun league. It's going to be a great time, and I think we're about to get into the rounds. And for me, it's about building that chemistry and balance. The league becomes a lot easier and a lot more fun when you actually come out of your comfort zone and start talking to your brothers that that are playing with you, and start building that chemistry on the lines that you're on. Be open, be respectful. GMs are always open to suggestions as well. At the end of the day, we're all here to have a good time. If you see people on your team, and you feel like there's things that they could improve upon, like let's say, example, like the guy who was picked third round on your team and he's not producing, and for that reason you might have a lot of gray hair because of that. Maybe call him out for it, and then maybe it can help improve the game for everyone all around.
That's you to your whole team every game.
So, Kanan, maybe you could ask Buck for his tips on the Just for Men, or maybe just trim a beard quite short like I do, and the gray doesn't show just as much.
There's no Just for Men here. It's au natch here.
So guys, the draft probably going to start soon, as Buck mentioned. we see that the GM's pairings now that we have this season, Rida's going to be picking first with Zaid Akji and Adil Patel. And the interesting part about this pairing is Zaid is the only goalie GM, so that Rida will not be picking a goalie in the draft. Do you think that works for them or against them? And what are your thoughts on the GM pairing so far? And maybe one that maybe stands out for being maybe ahead of the pack from the get-go because of their talent level, or maybe one that probably needs to have a really strong draft to be successful this season?
For me personally, I don't think that was. I don't like that. I don't like having the GM as one of the pairings, and I'll tell you why. Is that when I look at GM pairings, I think these are guys in my mindset would go first round, hands down, no questions asked. Now Zaid is probably, and from what I've been told, like probably the best goalie this season heading into the season. Now, with that said, I don't believe, no matter how good of a goalie you are, I don't think it would warrant you for you to be a first round. I feel like because of that, that might put Rida with Adil Patel and Zaid at a disadvantage, because right now, where every other team has two, let's say, first round picks that are actually playing, Rida's playing with only one first round pick, which is Adil himself. Now, granted, they have the first overall pick, which is amazing because for me personally, I think Huzaifa Punchbaya is in the draft, and I think hands down he's going to go first overall. And I think his skill level is tremendously going to benefit them. And having that first overall pick was the best case scenario for Adil and Zaid. And I hope they can build a team off of that. It's just for me, I got to compare goalies to goalies, and I don't think any goalie would go first round, and which is why I'll say Rida has that disadvantage.
But Baksh, would you rather be picking first and then not getting your second pick till the 16th? Or would you prefer to be somewhere else in the draft order so that you can get to kind of more similarly skilled players, maybe not right at the top though?
Personally, I think in this draft, I think you can get good value picks later on. So if you can get someone like Huzaifa Punchbaya, first overall, or you can get a game changer right away, I think there's a lot of guys that can fill the needs of your lines in the later rounds. I think after line, around the 20th plus, I'm not going to say any number, but like there's guys that can give utility everywhere. But you can't get a Huzaifa Punchbaya everywhere.
Mubin, what do you think? Kazi and Mundra are probably disappointed that they got the 8th pick in the lottery, and they will probably. I think it's safe to say they won't get Huzaifa Punchbaya at number 8, who's their boy who they've been a trio with in past seasons. Do you think they're going to target someone else?
Before we even go there, you see Huzaifa Mundra is on the call, so probably some nice draft strategy to get some insight during the draft from the analysts while they're, especially in the late rounds. But going back to your question, I mean, the last pick and the 8th pick might not be too bad of a pick because you're guaranteed 2 good players early on. Where if you get the early picks, you kind of have to wait. You get a good player in the first round, but you kind of have to wait till the second round to see how it plays out. So it all depends on your drafting strategy and who exactly you need or who exactly you want.
I think being in the middle is not bad in this draft. Being number 4 or 5 I don't think is a bad deal.
I agree. Yeah, I think I'd prefer to be kind of middle of the first round rather than right at the beginning and have to wait another, 14 or 15 picks to take another pick.
I mean, keep in mind, Suburb last season was 2nd overall pick, and they won last season. And Glass, which had the 5th overall pick, went all the way to the final. So, I find that drafting 100%, we always say this, drafting 100% matters. The GMs can only go so far, but how you build your team is what's going to decide, like, are you guys going to make it to the finals? Are you going to start sacrificing pieces midway and, go into like a panic mode?
For sure.
Chemistry is pretty big, and having sometimes having the right guys in the room, maybe not that are familiar with each other, but just having the right mixture of people and playing styles is usually pretty good, and that always runs well long term for you. So I don't think numbers really matter. I think it's how well you know the people that are here, and maybe the people that you don't know. Maybe you can strike gold and get some diamonds in there.
Speaking of that, Baksh, any guys you think who might be a steal at this point? I think, the picks have started. Mubin, I don't know if you want to talk over to that. Sorry, Baksh. So it looks like
as expected.
the Zayfa
Yeah.
Punch Fire taken first overall by Zayed Agji Rida. And
Solid player. Honestly, I feel like you're right. Kazim Manja typically, GM with Huzaifa, but Huzaifa is, phenomenal both, offensively and defensively. Big point producer. I don't think there's anything he can't do. So this is huge and, not surprising.
Sherry going number 2.
And that's a defense for a class. So that's what they need. RC and Dab, they're both offensive forwards, and they're going to need someone on the defensive, and there you go.
Yeah, I guessed that from the beginning, but that seems like they're going with the right strategy on defense.
And no surprise there. I mean, it's a guy they're very familiar with in the Greenbirds organization, I guess you could say. And he performed extremely well last season.
Yeah, he definitely was a game changer for Klaas, and seems like he'll be able to wear the same jersey. Well, same
with the
colors.
third pick, now we have Mohammed Hamoud.
So
Raya.
crazy thing about Hamoudi was that last season he was picked 23rd overall. To
I
see him
called
to
this.
go jump all the way to third it's impressive. And he played with Lukman last season, so Lukman must have saw something. He's like, I got to take him right away.
Sani is out.
And the other thing too is Lukman had Hamoudi last season. And I think they played together a lot of times whenever they have the opportunity to. So that's great. And Buck, you just called
Yakin
out
has
Sani, too.
sorry to interrupt. Yakin has selected Farouk Sani.
Yeah, not surprising. Plays with Ukar. Adil knows him really well in their run last season with Iman. So there you go.
And
Picks are coming
also
in fast
to
and
note-
furious. Go ahead, Imad.
Also to note that Arif is assisting. He had to drop out of the draft and as GM this season, but he's helping Wakar and Adil draft right now. And Arif is a big supporter of Sani, so no surprise there as well.
Yeah. And then Tarif
Yeah,
Maruf.
moving on to Sir, we have Tahir Maruf drafted 5th overall.
Not surprising too. Huzaifa played with Tahir last season, so the same thing. You build chemistry. You like the guys you play with, and you try to pick them right away. Even Tahir himself, was picked 15th overall last season. So a lot of players' stocks are going up.
I don't know, man. 5th overall for Tahir seems really high. I know he brings tremendous value to the team from a defensive perspective in two-way, but I just wonder if they might regret that pick later on.
No, I think Tahir is great. He fills any void you need, and there's familiarity by playing with Huzaifa last season and winning the championship. So I don't think it's a
6th
bad
overall pick. Isan selects Hamza Shakil.
pick.
And
Really
apologies
good
if I
defenseman.
butcher names.
I think Hamza is considered a top pair defense coming into the draft this season, so not surprising that they're picking up Hamza. You got Dawood on forward, you got Kadir playing. I assume he's playing defense, but I know he likes playing forward, so this might just solidify the defense.
Pinchy defense.
Just defense. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Hamza Shakil, but heard great things about him, so he should be a good fit with the team. And Dawood and Kadir probably has some familiarity with him.
Saw him at pickup, and he's a good defenseman, and he can come up in the rush. So I think it'll be really good. I think it's his first time in the league. Or
Iman with the 7th pick has selected Riaz Lasagna. So Imad, this is your former teammate.
Yeah, former GM. Solid pick. I think he's a top pairing defenseman. He really settles things down in the back end, and a guy you can rely on in all situations. So I don't think you can go wrong, especially with two high-end forwards when Jihad and Yusuf already
From an outside-in perspective, though, I feel like Riaz was. I didn't recognize him last season. I'll be honest with you. I still have no idea what he looks like. And
he changes his beard around. No.
Oh, that might be why. But even he was missing on the scoreboard. He was almost missing completely off of the stat sheet. But I think in general, I'm happy he's picked this early. But I kind of want to see that step up. He was a GM. Kind of prove why you were a GM and now why you deserve that first round pick.
But not all guys are going to score and be that guy to take you over the top from on the scoreboard.
He's a very smart defenseman.
Really settle you down and do other little things in the game to be able to make you successful. And Riaz is one of those guys. I played with him on a couple teams. Quiet guy, but he knows how to play and he knows how to defend, and that's what he's known for. So you're not going to see him on the score sheet a ton of times.
Yeah, shut down defense.
Okay, boys, we got to catch up on picks here. So we're going to do the 8th and 9th pick for Takwa, and they went with Omar Panchbaya and Umair Ingar. 8th and 9th.
Wow. I thought Umar Ingar was going to come ahead. They picked Umar Panchbaya first, but both good players. It's a multi connection. The guys are bringing their boys in, and I guess it works well in the snake for you.
Well, it's smart, right? Because you pick Umair first. Like, let's say Umair was the one you wanted first. You pick him second, so that let's say someone drops out and you do give a replacement player, Umair's your top pick all of a sudden. So it actually is a smart strategic move, and both are forward. So my question right now for Dakwa is that who's playing defense on that team?
Umar Ingar can play defense, but he's again he likes to come up and score. I think he can play both, but he's one of those utility guys that can go up and down.
Okay, boys, we're gonna have to speed it up, and I take onus on that for going a little bit slow. But Iman has selected for the 10th pick, Vasim Eggsy.
This guy, man, last season he had an epic season, and he was on Iman as well with Jihad and Yusuf Soliman, so a lot of familiarity with that. He was drafted quite late, but I think he's drafted in the right spot this time around.
Well deserved. 45th to 10th pick. That's how late he was last season.
Now moving on to the 11th pick, as we see on the screen, we're a bit behind, but we have Salman's side going.
Unfamiliar to me.
Returning player from a while back.
He's a returning player. Okay, I know based off the scouting report, he's a really good dangler from what I can tell. So, I mean, it's adding a lot more finesse to Isan's team, and I think that's probably something they could use. I'm hoping he has a strong finish as well, and we'll take it from there.
Mubin, can we keep the draft screen on screen for the entire time? It's just easier to track along.
Sure. Sabr has now continued with their Egyptian trend and has drafted Omar Isawi, number 12.
No surprise here. Isawi's a top end guy. He didn't have the greatest season last season, but he was on Isan, and we didn't have the greatest season overall. So I think he's going to thrive with these guys.
Okay, moving on to Yakin. They have selected a goaltender, same goaltender selected first overall in their last draft, Ali Khawaja.
I don't know. I'm personally not a fan of this pick so early. Ali Khawaja is a great goalie, don't get me wrong, but I feel like a lot of teams like to round out their teams before they start picking goalies. So I'm curious to see what Otto and Wakar were thinking on that pick.
I think they just want to solidify having a good goalie, and for a lot of people, having someone that they trust in net is good, and I think they probably trust Ali Khawaja enough that they don't want him going anywhere else.
Went to the finals last season.
High has for the 14th pick went with Ahmed Khalid.
So definitely a well-deserved pick. He went a little bit later, I think 36th overall last season. Talented player. He can honestly just be the carry the entire line by himself. He can carry the ball. He can score. He can do everything. So Lukman saw that, and I think that's why he sniped him this season.
He's very good offensive guy.
Yeah, huge star.
Yeah, and good up and coming young guy.
As long as he gets rid of that Matthews stash.
And rejoining a class, rejoining his teammate Shariar Khan is Farouk Khan.
I'm a little surprised with how early this pick is. I know Farouk is very dependable and reliable, but I don't know. I think maybe someone else could have been taken, but maybe this is a familiarity play.
They played as pairs together, familiarity, and they went to the finals, so can't blame them for doing that.
And on the snake for the 3rd round, they have now selected Maz Punchbaya.
Mubin, you need to scroll over a little bit. We missed a couple picks. 16th and 17th.
There's another team there.
Yeah.
Oh,
there you
sorry,
go.
but 16th, Solman Nakuda.
As we've heard, East End legend is Suleiman. I'm not familiar with him, but I've heard he has tremendous skill. He's played a fair bit, a lot of experience. So it'll be great to have him in the league. I believe it's his first time in Iceland, so that's great to hear. And with Asabika, I mean, this guy has probably one of the hardest shots in Iceland. He joined last season for the first time, and he was an instant hit with Yakin.
Yeah, good to have Asif back, and great pick, great forward, and someone you can put in different situations. So it's good to have Farida.
Okay, and my apologies. Now we're at Maz Punchbaya for a class.
Surprised Takwa didn't take him, but I'm sure they might want to trade for their boy.
Yeah, carry all the punch. There's always a new punch by every season. But I'm not too familiar with Maz, but I know he's considered a forward. He's considered top tier based off of our statting report. So hopefully big things. I think RC and Tayyub are probably familiar with him, which is why they picked him pretty early on.
Okay, and
Khalid
now
Mufti is the second goalie now taken.
Right. So Haya has selected their goalie, Khalid Mufti.
Solid pick. He had a very hot ending to the season last year. and I don't know what you can say. He's always reliable, consistent guy, great guy in the locker room. You can't ask for more. So, solid pick.
And moving on to the 20th pick overall is Umar Mahmoud.
Solid, underrated player, completely underrated. He's earned a spot to be moved up to the third round. I think he played with Lukman last season and was drafted fairly, I think, fifth or sixth round. So solid to see him move up to the third round. So he got drafted by Wakar and Otto. So, but there's a lot of familiarity, talented player, and same thing. Like I'm happy to see that he's moved up in his stock value.
Yeah, he's a great two-way forward. Plays defense, plays offense, can do whatever you need him to do, and he can score. And that's what you need. Just need guys who are get in the right position. He plays positioning well, and he'll be good. Up
Very
next,
versatile.
Bucks, your boy Badger Mohammed Patel will be joining
Badger!
Isawi and Maruf.
Okay, Suburb. So he wants the goalie. He wants.
They're
the
locking
goalie.
in there. So a lot of times, in Iceland, we typically see teams lock in their full, 3 forwards, 2 defense. But a lot of people are starting to just jump on the goalie pick on the third round already. So, I think there is a lot of, hit the panic button, try to get your goalies that you want locked in sooner rather than later.
Once the first goal is taken, you want to start. Everyone starts to panic, right?
Domino effect.
Yeah, totally. What's the next pick for Isan?
And
Bijabai.
Isan has selected 100-time champion, breaking Ric Flair's record, Arif Bijabai.
I hate to say it, great guy,
Amazing,
but
brother.
I don't know if maybe they're just picking him for his lucky charm so early on, but he really needs to turn things around from last season to be successful at that spot right now.
Hey man, he won the chip. Doesn't matter how he won it. He went on the vacation. Will do him well. He came back from a nice vacay, and hopefully he'll have the good vibes rolling.
I heard there's rumors where Bucks is asking Arif for his medal for at least 4 times for the month, or he needs part ownership of that medal, or are we not going to go there, Bucks?
No, man. No. We won our own medals before. It's okay. We get our own.
All right. Iman, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk about Imran Alvi joining to Iman.
Hey, yeah, another goalie. Like Kanan said, the dominoes have begun to fall. Another solid pick. This guy is consistent. He loves hockey. I think he plays like 3 or 4 times a week, maybe even more if his wife allows him to, or his family allows him to, just like all of us. He had a little bit of a rough go last season with injuries and things like that, and had to withdraw from the league. But great to see him back, and inshallah, hope he's back to 100%. And Iman can't go wrong with this pick. He's a great guy and great goalie.
Looks like guys are going with the familiarity right now, but that's good.
Yeah, only 3 goalies left. So I wonder if this is like a time where, people are still going to start picking goalies, or we'll start just seeing that, you kind of just be like, well, whatever, we'll take whatever goalie we can get at this point just because we didn't get the pick that we wanted. But at the end of the day, every goalie in this league is top tier. You still have last season's, winner, Zaid Maju, still hasn't been picked yet. And he shut down the top 3 players last season in a shootout to win the cup.
He stole the shootout.
Kapoor and Mohamed Mughal also haven't been picked yet. So those 3 goalies, it just might be a case right now where the GMs don't maybe see a significant difference in talent between those 3. So they might hold off to pick them later.
If you're comfortable with either or, I don't think it matters at this point. You do what you need to fill in your roster.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think that we've seen a little bit of a pause now with Takwa, and I think that's
coming in now.
Oh, there you go.
Yusuf.
Oh,
Yusuf Inger? No, Yusuf Inger isn't in the draft.
Let's not have another Jawad move.
Another goalie. There you go.
All right, so they're locking in their goalie as well.
Ghazi and Manja are sweating. They had to get the goalie locked in.
They do have the snake though. So let's see who they come in on the other side. Yusuf Ahmed, who isn't playing right now this season, he's in the Adams training 7 days a week now for the season, and he has a skills coach. So he's hyping up his brother.
I hope to have you back in the league, Yusuf. Inshallah.
Wow, man! But it's interesting to see how, like you said, the domino effect with the goalies being picked. I think you can see the picks are starting to slow down as well.
With the 25th overall pick, Tuckle has selected Sahid Patel.
A forward as well, I believe, according to our draft. So I think we'll see a lot of moving parts, as you mentioned earlier, Umar. With Takwa, maybe Kazi playing defense, and one of the an Umar punch player maybe falling back on defense. but it's interesting. It's to see how these teams are shaped. I always believe, it's that first 4 to 5 rounds that determines what your first line looks like and what your goalie looks like.
Jai Patel's it's Malton connection, so they're picking guys they're familiar with, and he's a great young gentleman, and they're good to have him back. I think he missed a season or so.
And I think, you could see, because of the way it's slowed down, you could see that's where, the familiarity of all the players now is kind of, you start thinking about who do you have, what pieces you're missing, who do you need. Probably look at the scouting reports that were sent to all the GMs to see, what's the info on each player, and, how does it fit well with their strategy going in this season.
These are the rounds really where the draft is won or lost, really. All the big names, if I can say that, are gone. And then you're really just trying to, it looks like there's a trade.
What?
No,
it's a
that's
timeout,
actually
I
just a
think,
timeout that
No, I think they're
took.
typing something. Oh, no, there's a timeout there as well. Wow.
Timeout before pick 27. Oh, I think they're just, I think everyone gets a timeout. Oh, I guess if people get timeouts, then was it one timeout? Is that how it works per team?
Yeah, so each team gets 1 minute timeout in the draft.
Yeah.
And so they get a minute to make their pick. If they don't make their pick, they get a timeout for 1 minute, if they so choose. If not, then the following team makes their pick, and then they basically drop down 1 spot in that round. Khalil Coker, Bakshi, you played with him last season. What are your thoughts? Hanan did too, actually.
Dynamic scorer, dynamic forward, has an amazing sense for the offensive game, and he can score goal from anywhere. So if you're looking for goals, Khalil's your guy.
Yeah, if you feed him the ball, that's all it takes, is just feed him the ball, and if not, he'll be at Church's Chicken afterwards, and you can give him some chicken.
He did have a 2 different types of seasons, though. He was very successful on Suber, and I think primarily playing with Tahir Maroof and Arif Khan. But then when he was traded to Rida, not as strong of a showing. Still a talented guy. He plays hard. But you just wonder whether he really needs to have the right fit to be successful.
Yeah, he's very offensively driven, so his defensive game is growing, but he's a sniper.
Nice way to put that for a guy who's been playing hockey for many years. And
he has to always be growing.
Bilal Hafiz going to Isan.
Oh, they're looking for previous champions, Bijabay and Hafiz. Solid on defense and solid guy on defense, good guy in the locker room. Hamza Shakil and Bilal Hafiz defense there with Kadir is pretty good 3.
Yeah, it looks like they basically short up the top 3 on D. It'll be interesting to see when they go for that 4th person and they want to build from the back out. And with it's interesting Daoud is taking this approach, because last season his teams couldn't score at all, and he's focusing on defense this season. So and he doesn't have a goalie yet. So you got to wonder what his drafting strategy is at this point, and going to try and load up on that firepower, because he doesn't really have that up front all that too much right now.
But Hamza Shakil can score, and if Salman Sayed is from what I heard and recall, he's a good scorer and playmaker. So, and Daoud can score. Like if Daoud is on, he can score many goals.
With the 28th pick, Suber has selected Ibrahim Hindi.
Another familiar play. These guys have been playing hockey together. At least Yusuf and Ibrahim have been playing hockey together for years and years, maybe dare I say decades. But good locker room guy. He's a good leader on the team. Maybe a little bit early to pick him. I don't know. Maybe a strategy to help him with the draft. But I say maybe a little bit too early for him.
With the 29th pick, Yakin has selected Saqib Kokar.
I knew it. I knew he was going to do that.
Hey, that's a solid pick. Saqib was part of the Iclas team last season. One of the fundamental player playing center for that team. I'm actually surprised that Saqib was not picked around a pick earlier in the 28th. But I mean, it is what it is. But Saqib is constantly getting better. He's a goal scorer. He's a playmaker, and he's good at face-off draw taker. So
he had a very strong showing last season. He moved up in the first center slot, and made huge strides. And I think playing with the guys on a class last season really helped him with his game. And it's great to see that.
With the 30th pick, Haya selected Tala.
So I believe Ozair is returning to the league after taking a break last season. And remind me, is he a forward or a defense? He's a forward. And I think this is his first season being drafted, because last time he was a replacement player.
First full season,
Yeah. So it's great to have him back.
Yeah, and I believe he was pretty quick on his feet as well. So definitely, going with that speed and that higher hustle mentality that Lukman's always preached.
Ikhlas selected Abdur Rahman Batar as the 31st pick.
The successful Batar from last season.
Similar to what we were talking about, Saqib is AR also moved up in the lineup because of the personnel issues that the team had, or the shortages on the team. He played well. He had a very strong season, and I'm looking for him to build on that.
With the 32nd pick, Rida has selected Irfan Bana Patel.
EBP.
A familiar pick, I imagine, for Otto, because he did play with Irfan last season. So he must have liked what he saw, and he drafted him again. Irfan did drop. He was picked 3rd round last season. So, 4th round this season. Not that big of a dip, but hopefully,
he's a great two-way forward. Can score and defend.
And with the 33rd pick, Rida has selected Zaid Khaler.
Yeah, solid. One of the Claire brothers, I always call it. A solid young player. Fast, can score, can shoot, can run. Little bit of training still required, I think. But with proper coaching, phenomenal player. And I think with his family with him last season on Rida, he did wonders. So hopefully we'll see the same.
Well, he also played with his cousin Mohammed Khaler, right? Or is that his brother?
I think God's cousin, brother. I don't know anymore.
Family member, and they played on the same line. So it'll be interesting to see how. If Mohammed Khaler doesn't end up on the same team, how that works out for him.
Yeah. With the 34th pick, Ikhlas has selected Idris Dean.
So funny. I remember, I think it was like a few years ago, I played on Iceland, and I remember Idris Dean, I think, was drafted 1st overall. So seeing him dropped all the way down to the 5th pick, it kind of shows, players, skill level can change, and it's one of those things that like Idris Dean. I know he's a tremendous, great forward. I think the one value thing I've seen that I would want to see more from him is a little bit more playmaking. If you're a shoot only kind of guy, then everyone knows that you're just going to shoot. So I mean, that's probably one of the reasons why his value is trying to drop. It's a little bit more predictable, his play style.
Nice.
Well, he's also been away from the league for a couple of seasons, so I'm not sure whether he's been keeping up with playing or not. But it's good to have him back.
With the 35th pick, Haya selected Abar Gangat.
Wow, if you talk about a guy who's turned things around since before the pandemic, you don't recognize him. I won't ruin it for anyone, but he still has the hands. He has a little bit more speed, and he's going to be dangerous. I think he could be a little bit of a sleeper at 35.
Yeah, he's always. I think I played with him one season. I think he was almost on pace to be, like top goal scorer for that season. So he definitely has the capabilities. It's just you got to feed him the ball, and he's got to get the right tools around him.
Okay, with the 36th pick, Yakin has selected Azar Zafar.
Azar Zafar, man, you know him from. You know how to say his name. Come on, it's Azar Zafar, Iceland veteran, coming back. Great defensive forward, and. You got Azar Zafar equals hustle. So
yeah,
the Energizer Bunny.
Yeah.
Endurance 99.
Okay, I guess we could move on to the 37th pick, Junaid Alvi.
I'm happy to see Junaid picked Huzaifa. I believe he got traded onto Huzaifa's team last season. Solid player. I know he got traded from Rida. Definitely, a two-way forward. He can also play defense, and I believe that's what he was playing with in Summer when he did get traded there. So a lot of chemistry there, and a lot of picks here you can see is just based off of chemistry.
Yeah, and he really thrived playing defense on Summer last season after the trade. So I imagine that's probably where they plan on playing him. Wow, so we're what? This is the 5th round of the draft. We're almost halfway through the draft now, or just about the third away ahead of the draft. And it seems like Isan's taking a timeout before their pick. Any teams that stand out really right now as early contenders based on their drafting?
I like the way Rita is shaping out, to be honest. Like, I didn't expect him to look as good as they do. Granted, it all really depends on Salman Nakuda and in terms of how his play style is and how they utilize Asif Pika. They definitely stand out tremendously to me. Same thing with Adil and Wakar. I like the way they've drafted their team so far. Um, for Sabr, I'm not too happy with the Ibrahim Hindi pick at 4th round. Not to say anything bad against the guy; he's a talented player. I just think that when I look at all the picks that happened afterwards, I feel like you could have easily slotted one of those players there, at least in that round.
But Hindi has a lot of leadership qualities, which could help out with other guys as well. So,
Well,
Yeah.
and he knows Yusuf really well, so I think that was a big factor there.
absolutely.
Well, it looks
Yep.
like the pick is coming now for Isan.
All right. So with the 38th pick, we have Rizwan Malik going to Hassan.
Rizzy Riz.
Good pick.
Rizwan's a solid hustle player as well. You know what's funny? He actually he was in last season. The only thing is that he played for Haya, so that Haya hustle mentality was there. Drafted a little bit earlier than I imagine as well, to be honest. But he is a solid pick, and I'm wondering if it's coming down to now. Are people picking who they're familiar with versus any other factors that might be at play?
Yeah,
With the 30th pick, we have Mustafa Alam going to Iman. Bucks or Imad, any thoughts on this?
Musa, he's been around for a very long time, a lot of experience. He's been away from Iceland for a couple of years now, not including the pandemic. So it'll be interesting to see just at what level of caliber of skill he has right now, or how effective he can be. I know he wasn't the Mustafa as old last time he played, but nevertheless, I think he's a solid addition, brings a lot of experience and leadership qualities to the team.
I don't know. From what I've seen, honestly, I think he was projected to go 2nd round, but going this far, I'd get out of his way. You never want to stand underneath a falling star. So,
What the hell are you doing? He's a veteran of ball hockey, and great to have him back in Iceland.
For
Welcome
sure.
back.
All right. Ending off the round, 40th pick, Taku has selected Sadat Malik.
Solid defenseman.
Yep.
I don't know if that's
familiarity
the right spot for him, though.
Familiarity.
Maybe I don't know with Kazi and Mundra.
The thing is, Kazi and Manja have played with them not last season, the season before. He was on their team on defense with Omar Isawi, I believe.
So looking at him, you need to have a really solid sort of offensively talented or gifted defenseman paired with him. And would that be Omer Inger?
Yeah, Omer Ingar or even Kazi.
I guess you could, yeah. Oh, Omer Inger is actually listed as a forward, so maybe not him, but probably Kazi. But to be effective, he needs someone like that on his pairing.
Yeah, he's a shutdown defenseman. He knows what he's good at, and he does it fairly well.
So they're on the snake now. It looks like they're using that time to determine what their second pick is now. It's coming in. Suleiman Bhatti.
At the 41st pick.
Bhatti boy.
I like Salman Bhatti because he does bring a lot of offensive power, but I do believe you do need a playmaker on his line in order to really leverage him. So that's something I'm wondering if they're taking into consideration. Like who are they going to play with someone so that you can leverage him. I think he's one of the type of players where if he plays on the first line, he can produce. It's just that if he's playing on the second line where it looks like he's got drafted a little bit late, like what tools are you going to put around him?
It's tough. Like he lost. Seeing him last season, he did lose a little bit of a step. And being able to keep up pace with Mundra on the first line, I think that might be difficult. But he definitely has a skill. It's just whether his feet can catch up with him.
I think he'll be fine. He's a good utility player. He can move up and down.
Speaking of utility players, you got Ali Murtaza going next to Iman.
Mr. Murtaza.
Great on the as a centerman. He can win face-off draws, especially the key ones on the defensive zone. So solid pick there as well. I think he's been a little bit off of the scoreboard the past few seasons, but I mean last season I think he only played half the games as well. So hopefully we'll see a lot more from Ali this season and a little bit more edge to his step.
Yeah, and he plays both forward and defense when needed, so a good utility.
Although he does have a warning that he doesn't want to play D, so he can, but he's
in the end, guys will step up for their team, right?
100%.
No.
Far, I'm kind of, I'm curious, and I would definitely want to see maybe later on we kind of get like an inside scoop on a lot of these GMs in terms of what was going through their minds when they were picking these picks, because I feel like based off of what I know on who's left in the draft, I feel like there are some solid picks that are still remaining that I feel like more point producers, I would say.
Okay, so with the 43rd pick, we have Ishak Bayat.
New to Islam. Welcome to the league, brother. And from some of the notes in our scouting report, he could be potentially the steal of the draft. So I don't know much about him, but I heard a lot of good things from some people behind the scenes, and hopefully he can come in and make an impact for Hassan.
Does he have any affiliation with any of these GM groups, or maybe any particular regions in the GTA? I mean, Malton or T Park, or
I think Donlands or T Park. I don't recall, but East End.
okay.
With the 44th pick, Suber has selected Taha Azar.
Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. If I'm not mistaken, I think I recall who Taha is, and if I tried to describe it, it'd probably describe any one of us. But from an appearance perspective, but I think he plays both forward and defense. I think the key for him really is to embrace the role which is assigned to him, and to just focus on that rather than wanting to play a particular position, which I think has been something that he's been forceful about a little bit in the
There's a lot of speed on Suburb. That's what I'm seeing. That's what
Yeah, that's
moving on to Yakin. They have selected Hussein Malik.
Stole a Malik.
They stole a Malik from Lukman, I think.
Was Hussein the young guy that came in on the waivers last season?
He was.
He made a huge impact, right?
This is going to be his first full season. He had a great start to his Islam career.
Yeah, no, he's a good.
He seems to be having a lot of fans in the comment section. All Maliks, by the way.
Well, yeah, they're all. He's he's a big lanky guy. Maybe not as big as let's say a Hamoudi or someone, but he has reach and he can score goals and he runs. But what more can you ask for?
He'll contribute really well to the team.
For sure.
Picked a little bit higher than where he might have been slotted, but also he barely be able to see him this young guy. So it would be good to see him in the full season.
Yeah, I think he did really well.
Looks like Yakin is going for utility guys that can move up and down. There's a lot of two-way guys here on Yakin.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Azhar Zafar, you got Umar Mahmoud, you got Farq Sani.
Hustle looks like the hustle team.
Yeah, definitely.
The legend of Hussein won't die in the comments, guys.
There's a lot of hype. A lot of hype, Hussein.
Well, Saya seems to be a little stuck up on their pick. Maybe they're banking on taking Hussein right now.
Yeah, 100%. 100% that Lukman was thinking of taking Hussein at that point.
Looks like they might be taking their timeout right now.
Yep.
They are. Looking at the I lost my sheet here, but who's left? You wonder if they might go for someone like Faraz Alvi or Jawad Majid, the legend.
All right, Hanan, this is all you. Number 46 pick. Go for it.
I thought he was playing last season. Honestly, I like the way Jawad plays. I always think of him like the Corolla of Islam, reliable, simple, physically incapable of drama, and always gives you that high mileage. So welcome back, Jawad. And I think it's a great pick for Lukman.
Wow, you could not diss the poor kid even more.
Hey, people want Corollas, and Lukman picked it up.
People need Corollas. Nobody wants a Corolla.
All right, Ikhlas for the 47th pick, Mohammed Khaler.
Oh, just one pick away from being reunited with his brother, I think someone said.
Cousin
in the chat. Wow, so it'll be interesting to see how they perform being disconnected from each other or separated from each other.
It's interesting. I think it's a solid pick for Ikhlas. I mean, RC's familiar with both Zaid and Mohammed Claire, so and Diab Claire. So it's basically Zayd just got is being separated from the rest of the Claires at this point in time.
You looks like Zoo wants you to talk about Jawad Majid a little more.
I don't think there's anything else to say. Like, we're pretty happy with him returning. To be honest, for me, he is a solid defensive player, and he can also score. And I think Abrar's played with him in the past, so I think this is a good pickup for Lukman.
Yeah. Faraz Alvi to Rida.
Faraz Alvi is joining Rida at the 48th pick.
Now he's coming off a little bit of an injury plagued season. Hanan, maybe you can speak to it since he's your teammate. But,
yeah, I felt bad. I think he hurt his ankle. He's the type of player where you got to force him on defense because that's honestly where he thrives. Great, left-handed shot. Great for power plays. It's his value has slowly diminished over the years, but I think he's still a solid pickup at this point in time, especially in the 6th round. And he can bring you a lot of utility, and he is a goal scorer at the end of the day.
Gosh.
All right,
Coach 49 on the snake.
Takudin as the 49th pick on the snake.
So funny thing is, Kashif was also picked 49th last season. So, and he was on Adil's team. So
Kashif wanted to get lowered in his pick. He doesn't want to have high expectations, but Adil's saying no. You got to come back and play.
Yeah.
That's his designated spot. It's predetermined that on 49 you got to take Coach K.
And
all right, the 50th pick goes with Adam Ahmed.
Yusuf Ahmed's brother, I believe, who's a GM for Ikhlas last season, and back on Ikhlas is Adam Ahmed. Came in, I think, as a ringer, as they had a dropout from last season. Solid, pick in terms of he runs. I think his hockey sense could use a little bit of fine tuning. But I believe Yusuf Ahmed, I saw some comments about him saying that he's coaching his brother. So, I mean, you're almost looking at another Yusuf in the making, and it might be a sleeper pick for all we know this season.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's a Yusuf in the making, but he definitely plays hard and gives it his all on every shift. So you're definitely not going to not notice him out there.
Welcome back to the league.
His first full season. He was actually very pumped about coming back to the season.
Back in green.
Back in green, and you look at the class. You have Sherry, you have Farouk, you have AR, and now you have Adam, all returning from last season. And there was another punch player who had dropped out last season and replaced with another punch player now. So a lot of the same guys.
Yeah.
And you also got to wonder, maybe there's a trade brewing to reunite Zayd and Mohamed Khaler.
Oh, yeah. I imagine there might be something in the works there, too.
Yusuf Ahmed shouting out his brother. So we're on the 51st pick with Hashim Chowdhury. Hashim Chowdhury going to Haya.
I believe Hashim plays defense, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's also considered, when it comes to defenses at this point, it starts, dipping a little bit more. And I think, Hashim's definitely a solid pick at where he was picked up.
Okay, we're at the 52nd pick. Sahil Mohammed joining Yakin.
So Sahil,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Bucks.
I played with Sahil for a couple of seasons, and he's a great. He's good at defense. He knows where he needs to be, and solid, can move up and down and eat up minutes. He's a good depth defenseman, and I think he has the talent to move up to even be a top pair, but he still has a lot. He's still a young guy, so.
Otto played with him last season when he was on Takwa briefly. So, like I said, I think Chohan likes. He's picking people he likes to play with in terms of matching his play style, and definitely that's probably a pick that Chohan wanted.
And I think he signed up as a forward this season, so it'll be interesting to see where he lines up on that team.
Oh, really?
But again, another utility guy who can play both defense and potentially forward on Yakin. And remember what we said last season, Haya was that team that had all those guys who played multiple positions. It was tough to start out, but they eventually got the hang of it, and they were a tough team in the playoffs that Ikhlas got through. But we have our next pick.
Zuberi back to Subber.
All right. Absolutely correct, Bucks. 53rd pick, Abdul Nafia Zuberi.
Hopefully, he doesn't trade him halfway through.
No, I think, like I said, it's funny. Like when you look at last season compared to this season, you're seeing a lot of people who are picking players that they played with last season, and like for Suburb, no surprise, this is the team that won, and a lot of the same familiar faces are there. Obviously, Abdul Nafia Zuberi got traded, but
No,
I
he's
think
he's a great player. He's a good
100%, 100%.
Waiting on number 54.
Bucks,
And-
any preliminary thoughts on how these rosters are shaping up? Any team that jumps out while we're waiting for the 54th pick?
Haya looks good. I like what Johan and Wakar are doing. As far as the strategy goes, Rida looks like it's shaping up, and I mean, there's not there's not a horrible combination here together. So I think.
All right,
think
maybe
I
you'll
like
change your
Rida.
mind a few rounds.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so we have
Yakin and Rida.
Fuzzy McDavid, Fuzzy Thakur.
Fuzzin, the Fuzz. Welcome
I'll be
back.
joining us on 54th. He joined last season and he had to pull out, so he's hopefully back.
Yeah, I think he had an injury, so I mean, it depends on what type of Fuzel you're getting. Are you getting the Fuzel from 2-3 years ago? Are you getting the one after the injury who hasn't gone to the gym? It's kind of up in the air in terms of what type of potential you're going to get from it. There's a lot of looking at Ishak Bayad as well, Umar. Like you said, I think there's a lot of sleeper picks on Isan where this team's either going to like snap and just become absolutely incredible, or players are just going to have to hit that gym for the first couple of weeks and try to get the ball rolling.
Hopefully, Fuzzy's back as far as his leg, and main thing is as long as he's healthy and ready to come back. It's good to have him back. He's a staple of Islam, and I think he plays defense, but he's a little more of an offensive game to him. So hopefully we see some more of that. Abdullah Patel is out.
Iman, he familiarity. They played together last season. He was on Iman with Jihad and Yusuf again. So
yep,
great
pickup as well.
Game, and they wanted him back. I think he's a great energy guy on the second line.
Yeah, Abdullah's a great kid in the locker room, and hustles and can score, and he has good hands. I mean, he can play in the second, third line. He can do whatever you need him to do.
There were some messages on this chat, as you could see, that they want Haya to pick up the Patel, but I guess Iman snagged him before Haya could.
Yeah,
He's up and coming. He should be right here. If not, I could see him getting up there. As he gets older.
Looking at the list, you see any guys who are maybe standing out to you as not being picked yet? Maybe Zahir Fancy, Hanan, Ahmed Ibrahim, Abbas Marshi still on the list.
Well, we got a solid pick here with Tuckwa 56, the veteran Khalid Mogul.
Khalid Mogul, veteran defenseman, very reliable.
Yeah, I think this is twice in a row Kazi and Mandra had picked Khalid Mughal on the defense, so definitely they're familiar with his play style. And same thing with, I believe they just picked Riaz Hussein on the snake as well. So both familiar picks for Kazi and Mandra. And Riaz is just constantly getting better, and Khalid has always been solid on the defense. For me, the one pick I see, there's a few. Obviously, I think Abdul Wahab Muhammad. I think he's definitely a phenomenal pick that hasn't been picked up yet. There's Faisal Mahmoud, who had a stellar season last season. He definitely stepped up. So
Wasim Khaler, like he hasn't been in the league for a while, but very smart and savvy defenseman.
Veteran presence.
Veteran.
I think he's Zayed and Muhammad's dad, right?
Yep.
So he wants to come and play a couple seasons with his kids.
The love affair between Toraro and Hanan continues.
No, this is a steal. I wouldn't call me a steal. I'd call me a
he's sucking up to you because he's
comical
too much
relief
last season.
comical relief character in your group chat.
Yeah, it's interesting now to see how teams prioritize things. The one thing I see with Yakin is they don't have, I guess, really top end offensive talent that they've drafted. They have guys who will hustle and who will work hard, and maybe your utility guys, but no one who really stands out from a scoring perspective. You look at Isan, and granted, I'm not super familiar with Hamza Shakil or Salman Sayed, and those are their first 2 picks. So
Sorry, I got to cut you off quickly,
Yeah.
Iman. I'll let you continue. But Iman has selected with the 58th pick Amr Hanif.
there you go,
Iceland
solid
veteran.
pick.
Yeah, I like Amir Hamini. He's typically, Ghazi and Mandra usually pick him up as well. Solid pick. His season last season, he was off the stat sheet, but definitely a veteran, solid player.
Plays defense now, right?
Yeah, I think he typically plays defense.
He
And
does.
I mean, we're at the point where at the last 5 rounds of the draft, this is where you're trying to round out either those missing that missing third or fourth defense, or maybe the fourth defense, your third line, or maybe that last piece on the second line. So these are definitely like picks that a lot of teams are being very considerate of, and it's not surprising everyone's taking their time here because you hopefully look at what your roster looks like right now and try to figure out what exactly do you need to just round it out.
Going back to Hassan with the 59th pick is Misbah Siddiqui.
Versatile guy, plays both defense and forward. Dawood picked him last season as well, so obviously saw something he liked, and he'd want to go back to having someone who's familiar with.
Okay. On the 60th pick, Subber has selected Vasim Kapadia.
And it looked like he just Huzaifa just picked it right away. Like there was no hesitation on that pick.
He knows him. I think that's his East End connection.
And has Wasim played in the league before? I was telling someone earlier that name sounds so familiar. I just don't know if it's the same person I know.
I think his friends call him Vasim Exodia just because.
No, I think he's new. I think he's new to the league. Welcome to the league, brother.
Welcome.
Welcome to the league.
All right. Bokar and Adil Chauhan selected at their 61st pick Abbas Amarchi.
Great. Again, two-way utility. It seems like the common theme here for Adil and Wakar, and he played great defense. Won the championship with Subber, but great utility forward and defense, can play either or.
I mean,
just a reminder, Arif Khan is actually drafting this team.
Exactly. So that's
helping them draft. I don't think he's drafting it by himself though.
Okay.
Yeah. I think a lot of it's just what Chowan's, what he's familiar with as well, and who he wants to play with.
Haya has selected with the 62nd pick Ibrahim Khan.
Not surprising, Ibrahim Khan also went 62nd last round as well. So a lot of these players that we're seeing being picked up at this round were picked up in the similar round last season. But we'll kind of see how this turns out. I mean, a lot of it's just rounding out your team at this point in time.
Yeah. They got Kaler. Wasim's off the board now.
That's for the 63rd pick. Wasim Kaler is going to Ikhlas.
So friends and family discount, I call it. It's when you pick people you're familiar with. The solid thing with that is that you get proper coaching that can be done to the players, because you're probably riding home talking about the game, what things you can improve upon. So we'll kind of see what kind of a player he is, what type of Claire he is.
He was a very smart defenseman when he played with us before, and a really good guy to have around. So welcome back, man. Good to have
him. Great to have him back in the league. He's been a staple in the league for a long time, and just had to take a break for a few seasons there.
Hopefully his legs are back.
It looks like I think they're taking Imran Lukenpal, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there we go.
For this 64th pick, we have Imran Lukenpal going to Rida.
Welcome back, Imran. He's been away for actually quite some time. Former top goal scorer. I wouldn't know if he actually won a goal scoring championship, although probably very close.
He scores.
He scores. It's great to have him back, and hopefully he has some of the same magic that Khalil had last season. So it should. I'm sure he'll be asking for some tips.
They'll go in for familiarity here with Amar Khwaja on the snake. And a very dependable defenseman, great guy to have in the locker room. Knows what he has to do and just plays shutdown defense.
Yeah, dependable guy. Great for second pairing, and I think he fits in well where he was drafted.
Adil trusts him a lot on defense, and he's basically one of the few guys he says, I don't care. Like he knows what he's doing.
All right, take on this analysis.
Habibi Tings here.
I mean, it's kind of similar to what he was drafted last season, 64th overall. So
Habibi Ahmed Ibrahim. Go.
Oh yeah, sorry. Basically, I was just gonna say, like, it's drafted similar to where he was drafted last round season. Solid pickup. He has that hustle mentality, but definitely, the value add is that he can, round out that second round for your team.
Yeah, he's great.
Second
I
line,
mean,
I should
energy
say.
guy, good guy in the locker room. Will go out for whatever role you ask of him, and a solid pickup for that team. Now you look at Haya. I just wonder what they'd be looking for right now.
Hustle. They're looking for hustle. Trying to look for the hustle in what's left.
Yeah, I would probably say maybe another forward, if I'm not mistaken. They seem to have rounded out their D with Luke, Hamoudi, Jawad as your top 3D. And I think Hashim is also a D, right?
Shawad's a forward, but I don't know. We'll see.
Is he? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, they can drop him back to D. He's dependable back there.
Bench squad picks. I like that.
No one on the panel's been picked yet.
Yeah, I'm gonna pose a question to you guys. Where do you guys want to see your names, and which column do you want to see your names?
Oh, I just want to be drafted, man.
Yeah, thankfully no names are ever left off the list. But we have our
Haya's
next pick.
gone with Adil Malik with their 67th pick.
Familiarity, high hustle. Adol's played in the league before and just had some time off. But he's won a championship with Gray and just come with familiarity.
Yep, and Malik, right? You're gonna stick together.
Yeah.
68th pick, we have Faisal Map joining Yakin.
That's a value pick. Faisal played really well last season and contributed great offensively and defensively. So, that's a great value pick for Yakin there.
Yeah, definitely has the hustle.
69th pick, we have Hanan Ghafoor.
And he's off. 69, there you go.
Whatever number I was given, I mean, I'm always grateful. I'm not gonna talk about myself, to be honest. You guys can.
Well, I think you bring a little bit of speed and strength to this team, and I think you've shown to play whatever role has been asked of you. So I think it'll be a good fit on this team.
Yeah, I think you'll
potentially on the second line as a center there. Yeah, maybe as a second line center actually.
Yeah, I can see that.
Got Isan now making a pick. Oh, it's tough to see where. Actually, I think they might go for another forward now. They seem to have enough defensemen. In Kadir, they have Bilal Hafiz, Fuzzy, Misbah. Yeah, definitely a forward for Isan now. Oh, it looks like here we go again.
That is you.
No, we have with the 70th pick, Imad Hussein. Imad Hussein, what do you think about Imad Hussein joining Hassan?
So,
well, definitely a lot of familiarity with Daoud and Kadir from last season. Know a lot of the guys there, so hopefully, looking forward to a good season.
I think like about Imad, to be honest, is that you do bring a lot of hustle. I think you can play key minutes whenever required, especially not everyone brings the entire roster. People are always missing, but a solid pick at 70 for me. We always talk about it on our carpool rides, but I always say that at the end of the day, you're always getting better. So great to see you up there, and I think we're gonna eventually see that 5 goals or 5 points in 5 games season that you had last time.
I wouldn't bet on that.
Okay, brother Hussein Abu Hamad goes at the 71st pick, joining Iman.
Not familiar at all. I'd have to pass it off to you guys. I believe he's a forward though. He came up as a forward. I might, like I said, it just looks like maybe Jihad's rounding out. I'm not too sure if he's maybe familiar. It's just a pick that he knew about, for all we know. But I think we're almost. I have one last pick for the, and then we'll be into the last 3 rounds, which is where certain teams. I believe Eklas hasn't picked their goalie yet, so realistically they only have 2 more players to pick. And I believe who else is missing a goalie pick? Isan is missing a goalie pick, and Rida is missing a goalie pick. So
I think
Okay,
they might
Butch,
push
take this
to the
pick
last
away.
round.
Zuhair Fancy goes to Takwa.
Zoo Dowdy. I mean, Zuhair Fancy going up to Takwa. I think that's a good pick. They needed someone to round out defense, and Zoo definitely provides that shutdown defense and leadership and gritty grinder like cheap, not cheap. Very, he definitely will get in your face in a good way. I think.
Yeah, he'll be a good pick, and dependable guy. I think he'll fit in well with that team and bring some stability to the defensive end.
Yeah.
And they're just waiting to make their second pick now. I never know if GMs know that, just because if you're on the snake, just because your guy on the first pick and not the second pick, you can wait till the minute mark of the first pick to make that decision on who you want to take second, instead of rushing your first pick and then having to kind of have less time to make your second pick. It seems like that was done a couple times so far this time around.
You tell him not.
And I call it like I see it.
Rida also needs goalies still, so there's still 3 goalies on the table, I believe.
Osama Rao.
Or no, there's only 2. Sorry, Rida's GM as a goalie. My apologies.
Okay, man. Want to comment on Osama Rao going to Takwa?
Yeah, I think he's a good guy. He's a little quiet, but he'll go out and he's always open to feedback. I think he's going to be great on the third line for Takwa, and some energy and speed for that team. Chip in with a goal here or there.
Wahab,
74th
Suleiman.
pick. Go for it, Butch. Abdul Wahab Mohammed joining Iman.
Welcome back, Wahab. Good to have Wahab back in the league. It's been, I think, a season or so. I think we saw him last time before the pandemic. And Wahab can score. Wahab can play defense if needed. He's a great utility player and can play on the second line, can play on the third line, can pretty much do whatever you need him to do, and definitely has the offensive side to him as well. So he can start dangling through people. So good value pick at this point.
Anyone have any intel on the 75th pick? Ismail Malik?
I think he's a Mullik.
Yeah, that's probably all I can say about it.
But I think I saw him, Ismail Malik. I saw a lot of hype for him in the chat. So Ismail Malik on 77 looks like he went 75. So looks like a lot of guys. Big pick, right? Yeah, big pick. We're looking for Ismail.
76th pick is Zahid Hussein.
Yeah, so this is his second season in the league. Youngest brother of Omar and Riaz Hussein. And you know what? He had a really good first season. Really, really impressed with it. And I think the longer he played, the more comfortable he got with the league and his teammates. Dependable guy, and he'll chip in with some goals too. So
I mean, he had 7. I think he averaged almost 0.5 points per game. So huge pick to have on your 76 pick, and definitely I think you're going to expect a lot of production from him as well this season again.
Definitely.
In fact, I do believe he had more points than his brother Riaz Hussein last season.
Ooh,
would not be surprised.
Way to go into the stats.
Wait, Riaz has been picked, hasn't he?
Riaz has been picked by Takwa.
He's 57th pick for Takwa.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Yeah.
There'd be a lot of chatting between the brothers.
Yeah, Zahid's definitely underrated, I would say. So a great pickup for Suber as well.
Looks like Keen's taking their time here to make their pick. Oh, no, it's coming in.
And
Sully.
77 goes from the 69th pick to the 77th pick. Solomon Asmat.
It'll be interesting to see whether he gets traded again. But I'm sure he's happy to come back and play with a lot of these guys who he does know, and teammates with Sakib Koker again. But he's also coming off an injury, so hopefully he's fully healed by the time we start playing.
He's looking for a physio right now, so I think I don't know if he'll be 100%, but might be 95% ready.
Attendance should be definitely higher than last season, that's for sure.
It's very hard to travel at this point.
It's hard to travel when you have a broken ankle as well. So whatever is ailing injuries are
Wow.
these days.
Zuhair, Arif's gonna trade Salman again. Oh man, Salman cannot take being traded again. Please, Arif, don't do that.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that. Well, actually, Arif isn't GMing anymore, so I can't say that Salman is safe.
Happy to see someone, lining up with Sakib Kokar and Chauhan and all these guys. I think, he brings a lot of speed. He has a lot of talent. So it's just a matter of, is he going to be at 100% when the league starts?
And
Alright.
Haya snipe Zain Muqaddam.
Go for it, Bucks.
Haya snipe Zain Muqaddam. No, go ahead, Naman.
I believe he was playing on a gloss, right?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
on the class. He's a solid guy. I think he'll play. He's probably a high energy guy in your third line. He'll go out. He'll keep the balls deep, and he'll just do what's expected of him. And I think that's exactly what you need as someone drafted there.
I think Green was looking for him probably right now, and Haya probably just said, you know what, no, we're gonna grab him first.
Yep, for sure. And they played against him in the semis last year, so
Yep.
Probably saw what they liked, or liked what they saw.
There's some so solid picks I see out there, like Amr Wasif. I think that I would be, I like that. He would definitely be going either in the next 2 picks for sure. I know RC's familiar with him, so we might see him picked up right now. Or
It's gonna come down to, I think, positional needs at this point.
oh yeah, that's true too. When it comes to at this late in the draft, it is all about positional needs.
And there are still a couple of defensemen out there, so how many we got? Who needs a defenseman?
Who needs a defenseman? Good question. Actually, I think maybe Rida might. No, they got
There's only 2 defensemen left, so they need to figure that out.
But
We got a timeout before.
There you go.
There you go. Amr Wasif. There you go.
Yeah, not surprising. Looking at the list of players left, Amr Wasif's huge pickup for a class. I believe RC played with him last season. Amr had 3 goals last season as well, so definitely can bring up that third line and bolster it by making sure that's producing.
Rida coming in now on the snake, and they have 2 picks to make.
Yeah, and then after that, that's the last pick, right? So I mean, these are their last picks, essentially picks 80 and 81.
Right. Time to make that difference.
Yeah. So this is where you kind of I almost assume try to figure out who you believe you're going to get as the last pick, and then see how you can complement that pick with whatever you're going to pick up as 80 and 81.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder if they're going to look for a defenseman now, because they got Amir Khwaja, they got Coach K Farad. Nah, they're okay on D. Probably a forward.
They could probably use a defenseman right now.
No, they got Amir, they got Kashif, they got Faraz. That's 3 right there, and they got Adil. 4. You probably don't want more than that. Maybe some utility guys, but no one who's strictly a defenseman.
Well,
And they've taken a timeout, so
does Faraz like to play defense, Hanan?
well, whether he likes to or not, I think everyone agrees he's most effective as a defenseman versus being a forward.
Yeah, 100%. I do believe he's more effective as a defenseman.
Then they got their defenseman.
Looks like they're struggling to make this pick right now, or picks, I should say. It becomes very difficult, especially when they're newer guys in the league and you're not familiar with them. Who really do you take? And they don't really know as many people in the league themselves, so it's very difficult. It's almost like a guessing game, randomly. Okay, the pick's coming in. Kizzer Luckenfall. I think that's a good pick.
Yeah, 100%. I believe that's a great pick. I think Kizzer, last time I recall, he hustles, he moves quick, tall guy, so he has that reach as well. Good pickup for Rida.
Yeah, he's definitely improved his game over the years, and I think it'll be good for him to play with Imran as well on the same team. Um, probably going to line up on the third line for the team, but I think it'll be a good comeback season for him.
Yeah, he's a good energy guy, and good to have the brother back in the league.
Wow, really taking a lot of time to make these picks. Omar Sadat.
So,
at
Imad,
81.
you want to being the teammate with him last season? You want to just talk about him quickly?
Yeah, I like. You know what? Really, like a team player. He plays hard, and he'll do what you'll ask of him out on the floor. So, very strong for the third line.
Yeah, he's a good energy guy and staple of Iceland.
Yeah, he's been around for a very long time.
82nd pick goes to Hashim Shahzada. Hopefully, I
To
pronounced it right.
Iklas. Yeah, so Hashim, great brother. We've seen him around. I think last season was his first season. He is a soccer player coming into the league. So I know he's played hockey in the past, but I think his hockey IQ is kind of there. Definitely needs a little bit of work on, but he's willing to improve. So I mean, if he's got good coaches around him, I think he can be a tremendous asset on that third line.
Buck, any thoughts on the 83rd pick, Danish Elias?
I don't know the brother. I don't know myself.
So he was on Iman last season. He played. His attendance wasn't great. So hopefully he can come up for more games this season.
Wasn't that Danish Khan that was on Iman?
Oh wait, sorry. Yeah,
No.
I know who Danish Elias is. My bad. Sorry, Hanan. Good call. So Danish Elias, I've seen him pick up on Sundays. I think he'll be a good fit for the third line. Yeah, I'd probably just leave it at that at this point.
Anyone have any intel on the 84th pick, Hamza Gaya?
I do not know the brother. No,
not at all. I mean,
is it his first time in Iceland?
I think he played once before. I think someone mentioned he played once before, but I don't recall. But welcome, brother, if it is your first season.
Welcome.
He is labeled as a forward, so I mean, it's all about that production. Or if your line's not scoring, make sure the ball doesn't go on your own then at that point. So
it'd be a lot of you guys now at this point that are coming in here. So it would just be who do you know at this point?
Yeah.
Suber seems to be taking their timeout, so it looks like every team took their timeout this draft.
Yeah, I mean, for
Googling people.
Suber, I think this 85th pick is going to be definitely key, and making sure that they pick who they want. Obviously, they have one more pick after that with the 92nd, but at that point, there's only 5 picks remaining, so it's definitely be a lot easier. So you might as well use that timeout right now.
Hanan, you just want to comment to who blinks first, whether it's Iklas gets their goalie or Isan gets their goalie in this round? Who do you think blinks first?
I think Iklas can't. Iklas is already locked in for the last pick, right? The last pick is going to be a goalie automatically now.
Good point.
Yeah. So I mean, they don't. I mean, the other team, you can just wait till their last pick to pick the goalie.
Yeah, the goalie's probably going last round at this point. There's no point in.
Yeah, that would be Isan. Yeah, if Isan picks their goalie in the second last round, then I mean, someone should call Dawood and be like, "What is this madness?"
We got Zed Maju and Mohamed Mogul.
85th pick, Ali Mahmoud going to Suber.
Yeah,
so he played with you guys last season, right, Umar?
Yeah, Ali played defense for most of the season until there was that big blockbuster trade. But Ali was injured and just great, dependable, shutdown, stay-at-home defenseman.
Yeah. So definitely, Huzaifa is familiar with Ali, and which is why he probably picked him up at this point. So, like I said, a lot of familiar picks with Huzaifa. It's almost like he's almost trying to recreate that winning team from last season, outside of the GMs naturally who aren't playing this season.
A big component of it.
Yeah.
But
here we go.
Talking about Isan picking their goalie, they really can either. It would probably be wiser to pick their goalie with the 91st pick versus the 86 because they're kind of coming around in the next round, and the teams in between them and their next pick have already taken their goalies. So if they have a player they want, they should just take that player.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But I mean, if they whip, okay, there we go. They picked a player.
So it's 86 pick is Hamza Abdullahi.
So I think with the remaining picks, he was the last person that was versatile in terms of playing either forward or defense. So it's good to have that versatility, especially that late, and a player who's willing to play either or. So I mean, huge pickup, I'd say, even this late, just to have versatility.
I guess they're taking the goalie last then.
I mean, they should, because Iclas has to pick their goalie last. So it's just a matter of, do you want Zaid Maju or do you want Mohamed Mughal?
Yeah, and between the two goalies, it's two very different goalies in terms of playing style and also in physique. You have Zaid Maju, who's a much taller guy and he's built big, and Mohamed Mughal, who's much shorter and a smaller guy, and he's more of a stand-up guy, whereas Zaid is more of a I don't know what the terminology is for goalies, but he goes down on the floor a lot. So
we'll revisit the goalie discussion. 87th pick is Adam Mufta going to Iman.
Coming back, the Arab connection probably to Jihad and Yusuf. He missed it. He was out the last couple of seasons, but I believe last time he played, he had a strong start to the season with a few goals, and then cooled off after that. But it's good to have him back.
Yeah, he's a good brother. I still keep in touch with Adam Mufta, and he got a couple of goals in his first season, so he can score. I think it just comes down to we don't know what his I guess compete level is right now, or if he's been running or not. So we'll hopefully see how that is. First couple weeks are going to be tough for everyone.
100%. And this is the last two picks for Takwa coming up. So huge picks, no timeout. And this is pretty much, Kazi and Mandra saying that they're locking in their team with these next two picks.
Hamza Abdullahi, first time in the league. Welcome, brother. Appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, it's great to have you join us.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. 88th pick is Hassan Wasif going to Takwa.
Amr Wasif's brother. I don't think he's played in the last 2 seasons. Solid, brother. For me personally, I always thought Amr was the better Wasif, but I mean, this is your season to return and prove us wrong, Austin.
All right. 89th pick is also Takwa, and they picked Sharif Beg.
I'm not familiar with the brother. I think he is new to the league, if I am not mistaken.
Probably new to the league.
I have nothing on my plate on this one, but welcome to the league. You're going to get a lot of probably unfamiliar, names at this point, so it's not surprising. But I imagine maybe some of these GMs, they're either rolling the dice, or they already know the brother specifically and know what they're getting.
90th pick goes to Iman. It's Mudney Daniel.
Yeah, good guy. He's a defenseman, although he moves up forward.
Mudney's a forward.
I don't know. I think he's better off as a defenseman with his shot, and I think he's just more effective that way. But
quickly, Imad, you want to jump back on that thought that you had Mogul versus Maju? Oh,
well, we saw that they took Mogul. Daoud probably saw him at pickup a couple weeks ago during the finals. So maybe that made the decision for him. Maju's performance.
So, quick question: did he see the finals then? Because
yeah.
Maju was also at the finals.
Well, the other thing too is that Maju now goes to the team for a lot of the guys who he beat in the finals now on a class. It's going to be interesting as well. You have Sherry, Farouk, AR, and Adam Ahmed on that team who he not shut out, but he beat or held out to be able to take the championship.
It's going to be easy for these guys to get Zaid into the WhatsApp group since he already has their number.
Hanan, are you sure you don't have any kids? Because dad jokes keep coming out, man. So we're coming in with the last pick now. I mean, it's a very short list to go by. One of four
Omar
guys.
or Omar Baksh? I don't know.
That's Omar Malik. Obviously, the Hassan Malik's not looking at me.
There's so there's I think two Umars.
Omar Baksh. Oh, wow! There's Omar Malik, Omar Baksh, Omar Dean, and Danish Khan.
I thought there was only 3 picks left.
There
Oh,
are.
4. Now it's
Oh,
over.
there you go.
Mr. Bucks.
Oh.
Obviously, a lot of GMs didn't see your TikTok videos of you working out. So
Well, Huzaifa played with you
Please,
last
good.
season,
please.
so he, like I said, he must have liked what he liked, and he's picking you up.
He
He's
likes
probably,
it for
he's
the
probably
pick.
hoping those videos don't stop though.
No, man, not at all. Good to be back in summer.
And
you
then
met
Omar,
quickly on Bucks.
Yeah, you know what, Bucks, you've definitely been hitting the gym hard, so I definitely expect a lot from you coming out of this season.
I'm last round, bro. Don't expect much. I'm just low expectations is what I like.
I don't know, man. You set expectations high, at least for in our group. And then the next pick on Yakin is Umar Dean. He got injured in the semis, I believe, for Haya last season. Hopefully, the brother's back to 100% and feeling good. But another versatile guy. He can play defense or forward. It'll be good to see him back.
We have another picked in another round by Haya. 94th is Omar
This is
Malik.
the Umar they're talking about. How you want this Umar?
nice. And then it makes Danish Khan, I believe, the last overall pick, which is at least your second season in the league. Use his time, especially everyone is drafted late. Like we've seen it in the earlier rounds. We've seen people, in the mid game, all of a sudden jump over to first and second round picks. So it's time to shine. I would say like this is the time to shine. This is the time to prove yourselves, and then inshallah next season, you'll see your name get bumped up a few rounds, or for some players maybe get buried a little bit more in the rounds, like Salman Azmat.
Bucks, just so you know, Arf wanted to draft
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah. Of course he did. Last round, of course he wanted to
It's
draft.
very easy to pretend like you want to draft someone when
All right,
wanna
we're
draft
gonna
me.
thank you guys for joining the draft. Before we wrap up, maybe I'll get each one of your thoughts about anything. It could be about the teams, of surprise picks, or the upcoming season. So I'll start off with Hanan, go to Imad, and then finish off with Bucks.
I think someone said it in the chat. I'm actually surprised with some of the middle picks. I think there's thinking about the draft myself. I think I would have done a few shuffles. There were a few people who went in the later rounds that I definitely would have thought would have gone sooner. For me, I'm curious to hear what the GMs have to say in terms of what their mindset is. Obviously, I took a quick glance of my own team, Subber, and I really like what I saw. I think this is definitely a great team to be on, and I'm excited for this season, especially for the brothers I'm playing with, and obviously I got Umar and Omar Isawi, both good brothers that I always talk to on the regular, so should be fun for us.
Imad, your thoughts?
Yeah, you know what? There are a fair number of guys who are probably first time. And sorry, my camera's out of focus. I don't know what's going on, but there are a bunch of guys in this draft who I'm not familiar with either because they're new to the league or they haven't been in the league for some time. So I think a lot of those guys are going to be the difference. I look at my own team that I've been drafted on Isan, and there are a few guys, Hamza Shakil, Salman Sayed, Ishaq Bhayat, who is Ismail Malik, and Hamza Abdullahi. That's like 5 guys. I don't know. It's a third of the team. So it's going to be interesting to see what the chemistry is like, how things change and pan out. And also some of these GMs, a lot of them are returning from previous seasons, how they adjust their game plan going into the season to be successful. And whether they go back to the well and try things that may have worked or may not have worked ideally last season. Excuse me. And try and do those again. But you know what? I just like a little bit of time to let this sink in and maybe think about it before maybe we do a season preview show.
All right, Bucks, thoughts, and just to wrap up the evening.
I think it just obviously it's a lot of familiarity in the draft, and that's usually how it goes with the GMs. And everyone likes to draft who they're comfortable with, and we saw a lot of guys from previous seasons playing together. Saw a lot of new faces. Welcome to all the new players this season, and I'll just speak to Subber because that's where I'm at. A lot of familiar faces, a couple of new guys in there. Good to be playing with a lot of these brothers, and that's the main thing with Iceland. We're really just over time we build relationships with everyone here, and it becomes a nice little clique of brotherhood, and it's just good to play with everyone and be back playing as long as we can.
Looking forward to the start of the season. recent news sounds like it might not be this Friday, but from according to the government, leaks coming in right now. But inshallah, we will keep you posted as soon as we have information on when the league is going to start, tentatively for this Friday.
Right, and we'll definitely we'll definitely update the league, the players, and as well as the GMs in terms of the start time. But just know that we do take player safety very seriously, and we will be adhering to provincial guidelines, but as well as doing our utmost to make sure that we maintain players' health and safety in terms of obviously COVID. Last thing we want is an outbreak in our league. So there is a lot of talk that goes on in the GM group, sorry, in the OC group in terms of how best to administer a league during a pandemic. But right now, all we could do on our end is just to organize things and make sure that we're ready, and we'll adapt as we go along throughout the season, just to make sure everything is safe.
And I'll just say something real quick to the players out there, like if you do feel you're unwell, or you have a cold or a cough, or you don't feel 100%, then take the precaution and stay at home. I think this is the season where we need to be really mindful of that. So let's make sure that we're taking care of ourselves and helping everyone else that too.
Yeah, the key is to follow the guidance of your local public health unit, and that is ever evolving and changing. We'll try to communicate as much the best we can, but in the meantime, I'm sure you guys all see the news all the time and get those notifications on your phones, and just do what's right.
All right, boys, all good things must come to an end. We've been at it for over 90 minutes. It was a pleasure. Good luck to all the teams and all the players participating this season. And inshallah, looking forward to seeing you guys playing some hockey in an Islamic environment in the upcoming weeks.
And our fresh new
Assalamu
jerseys
alaikum.
as well.
Yeah, man.
gonna be
I can't wait for these jerseys.
Great.
All right,
And
boys.
looking forward to the start of the season. Thank you so much for this evening.
Thank you so much for having me.
Take care.
Assalamu alaikum.